Hey guys, so today I'm going to be talking to you about Immobilizer bypasses and integration parts for doing a remote starter and or an alarm. Today a lot of new vehicles are computer controlled and you're going to need some sort of interface for your aftermarket alarm or security system and remote start in order for it to interact with the vehicle properly. So I'm going to go over some different types that are available to you and kind of explain to you so when you go to your local install shop it makes a lot more sense. So before I actually go over bypasses and integration pieces, I'm going to talk about why you actually need it. So I have two examples here. I have a pretty modern GM key still here and a Toyota key. So this is a 2005 key and this is a 2007. So GM's been using immobilizers in their vehicles. One of the first ones they started using was VAT. So basically you see a little bump right here and it would be it would actually have resistance. So when the vehicle would see that particular resistance, the vehicle would start as long as the key was cut properly. The downside to that is over time it would get worn out and then it stopped working, and there's only about like 7 to 12 different variations of it, so the combination wasn't that hard to figure out. So what GM's done now is on this particular key there is no chip, but you need a bypass. So there is a factory immobilizer in it. There's pass key, pass lock, there's different versions of it. So what it is based on the way the key's cut, the vehicle will see that, and if the key's cut properly, the vehicle will start. I've seen really worn out keys, the vehicles have a harder time starting because it doesn't recognize it anymore. So it's best to go get a key cut based off the VIN. Don't get a new key cut off your worn out key because it's not going to be as accurate. So you can't really hot wire those trucks. It'd be pretty hard to. So you still need an immobilizer for it, but at least your keys are cheap. Here's a 2007 Toyota. A lot of vehicles use this type of immobilizer in them. There's actually a chip in the key. So if you were to open this up, one, it's got all the buttons here for function of the vehicle, but there's also a chip in here. So when it goes in the key tumbler, it'll actually, when it's in close proximity to it, the car will read the chip in the key and allow the vehicle to start. So without it, you can't start the vehicle. So great for theft. A little bit harder to do the job when it comes to remote starting it, but it's now become pretty much the standard across most vehicles. So if you were to get this key cut, it's going to cost you, even without these controls on it, it's still going to be over $100. You got to get the chip key, you have to bring it in, they're going to charge you for programming and everything. So, take care of these keys, they're not cheap. So in the next few scenes, I'm going to go over some product that's available out there to do the job properly and integrating into a factory mobilized system. So here I have a directed piece, it's the 556 UW. It's a pretty old school piece, and this is how they used to always do it in the olden days. The 80s and the early 90s, when they were to bypass a vehicle. There's no modules that you could program. So this style, nicknamed the coffin box, you would have your box, and then inside you would actually place the key. This is a GM key. This doesn't have a chip, I'm just using it as an example. So the key would actually go inside here, this would get energized, and it would send the chip signal over to your key tumbler, and then the vehicle would think that the key's in the ignition when it's actually not. Downside to this is you're going to lose a key. Some installs still require this because some of the firmware out there is not updated for certain types of vehicles, but it's getting better. But the downside to this is there is going to be a key in the vehicle, so if it's not installed and hidden well enough, if a thief breaks in, they somehow find it, well, now you have a key that can actually start the vehicle, and you can just drive away with it. But this is a pretty proven method of doing things, but there are better ways of doing it now. I also want to mention before I show you these bypasses, you actually need to be an authorized dealer to use them because you actually need to program them on the internet depending on the application you're installing them on. So, I have one here for your express kits, and I have one here for data link parts. So this video is just showing you what's involved in the install. I'm not recommending that you guys do it yourself if you've never worked with CAN bus systems or any type of data system at all. It should be done by an experienced technician. So now more recently, over the past 5 or 6 years, we've been really starting to use this style of bypass. Now, what this is actually you program it to the vehicle. So there's no keys anymore that are in the vehicle. It's technically a little bit cheaper for the customers because they don't have to go get a key cut, have it programmed, bring it back, buy the coffin box. So you just have to buy this one piece. They're super reliable. So this is from iDataLink. Like, we use these things all the time. Pretty much have no problems with them. Like, these are awesome. And they pretty much hit every mainstream vehicle out there. So this is my top pick as far as brands goes when it comes to bypasses. So this is the TB version right here. It's strictly for remote starting. But then you have other versions like the CA and the DL over here. So these are for more integration with the factory computer. If you want to control like the factory alarm, for example, or get a tax signal, you know, these ones will do it. But you know, this is really nice stuff right here. And here I have the latest and greatest from iDataLink. These units actually will slide into the brain of your first tech product, for example, and it makes it a lot cleaner of an installation because you don't have like, you were not going to have your remote starter brain somewhere and then you have to find a place for the bypass. Now it's just going to be a much cleaner install. It doesn't perform any better, but as far as being a cleaner install, I love this product right here. And here I have the Express Kit version. It's pretty much the exact same as the iDataLink. It's just made by someone else. Done a few of these, very reliable. Haven't had any issues with it. So the only thing is I'm just more familiar with iDataLink. That's why I prefer it. I've been using it for the past 5 years, but this is just as good in every way. So you need to be an authorized dealer like I mentioned. So I've logged in with my top secret username and password. And I'm going to flash a vehicle here just so you guys can see. So we're going to detect our hardware. That's what I have plugged in right now. I'm going to flash my vehicle. And let's keep it pretty typical. So we'll do a Honda Civic. We'll pick the coupe because we're cool. And then we'll go ahead and flash it. So it's going to ask me what kind of unit I'm doing. So let's just say I'm doing a remote starter. And I'm going to I'll pick Avidal. It's a DEI product. So it's setting for a DBI protocol. So I can either hardwire and do each wire manually, or I can do it through a data signal. And we'll go ahead and flash it. So now the unit's programmed for that particular vehicle. I would go ahead and install it and follow my instructions and my wiring schematics very carefully and go ahead and do the installation. So hopefully this video sheds some light on bypasses and why you need it. That way next time you go get an install done, if they say you need all this stuff, it's not going to be like, oh, it's just a hidden fee. Like, they actually need to charge you for the part and the labor to put it in properly. This is a very generalized video, so if you guys have any questions about what it takes to install this or the particular vehicles going in, go ahead and private message me or post comments in the video, and I'll do my best to answer all your questions, because there are so many types of vehicles out there, I can't cover it all in one video. So yeah, feel free to ask me any questions.